Hi friends, Mindy here. I have a fun little video for you today, or at least I think it's going to be fun. A while back, I went to a thrift store and I found some of these receipt papers, like the adding machine tapes and that kind of stuff. This is actually the thermal one, but it still worked. And I decided I would try to coffee dye it. And I am really excited about how this turned out. So this is how the roll started, and this is how it ended up. There's actually more of it that's not even pictured here because I ran out of coffee, so it kind of only coffee dyed half of it. Anyway, this is just everything, but it ended up changing the texture of this paper in such fun ways. And on the back, it's a little bit lighter, just depending. And so I have all of these different rolls because as I was, dealing with it, it would tear or whatever. But anyway, I just thought I would use this. And originally I was thinking I was going to make some like snippet rolls or some belly bands or something. And I still may do that, but these are a little bit wider than what I feel like is going to work for that. These are like 3 inches wide. So that would be a pretty substantial snippet roll. I may cut them in half and do it that way. I plan to actually do some of that later down the road. But for today, what I want to do is I have some of these strips that, that they didn't roll up. Obviously, they had torn off or whatever. And I just want to use them up. And in my stash, I've been trying to go through my stash, just do some cleaning out and organizing of things. I came across these old journaling cards that I have just had forever. And I would really like to use them in some journals. These are actually like more for pocket scrapbooking, but I think that they would be good. But some of them just have these, quotes and sayings and stuff on them that I'm just not crazy about. So what I'm going to do is actually add this coffee dyed paper on here, and that will still give me a room that something can be journaled, or I can add a focal image or whatever. So depending on which side of that, like this has this, beautiful frame on it, and then it's got this side. So either way, but this one just has a quote that I'm not crazy about. So, but it's got plenty of journaling space here. So I feel like I could cover that up with this coffee dyed paper. It's about the same size. It's almost perfect, if you'll see. And then I can just use these journaling cards that I have just had in my stash forever. I also have some that are great. These are actually like, they look like they've been coffee dyed. And some of them, there's kind of, they're stained, but these are so super thin. And so I would really like to be able to use these too, but they're just thinner than what I would want to put in one of the journals that I make. So I'm going to back this and just give them a little bit more stability so that I can use them. And then of course I have some old, pocket ones from like Felicity Jane and Project Life and all kinds of different things. And so like this one, I love the front of this, but I'm not crazy about this. So I think I can cover that up. And then a couple of these as well. So obviously I'm not going to be able to get to all of these today, but I'm just going to make a start at it and see how this works. And we'll add some focal images and then hopefully have a bunch of journaling cards ready to go into some journals. So I'm going to put you on fast forward and get started. Okay, so I'm going to start off with gluing these down to this paper roll. And I'm using a Yoo-Hoo glue stick here, and I'm just using an old book as a way to kind of make sure that I'm protecting my surface while I'm gluing everything down. I will say the reason I'm choosing to use a glue stick in this situation instead of just like gluing it with Barely Arts or art glitter glue is because I want to make sure that it's completely stuck down from edge to edge. I will say though that my glue stick is nearly to the end of its life, and so I did have to go back around some of the edges where I just did not get enough adhesive. That's really the trick with a glue stick of any kind, is to really make sure that you're applying a lot of adhesive. And it might even seem like it's too much, but it's really just going to give you the best experience. So I just went through all of these cards. I'm gluing them down. This orange color one is it's just not a color that I will use. And for the sake of this video, I did kind of just speed this up to certain parts. This is one of those ones that was just a really, really thin paper. And I really love these, but they're just so thin. They're just basically like copy weight kind of paper. And that just isn't something that I enjoy. I like my journaling cards, especially to have a little bit more substance to them, especially if they're going to be in and out of pockets and that kind of stuff. I want them to hold up. So, but some of these were so cool on both sides. It was really hard to kind of decide which one I wanted to get rid of. This one had some like crowns on it, so that wasn't so hard. That was an easy decision, but the one with like the beautiful writing and then the roses, that was kind of hard to do. But I tried to just vary them and then give me the most bang for my buck. So you can see I'm just kind of working with this basically the way I would work with a snippet roller, just kind of adding to it as I go. And then I'll go back through and cut everything down. And that may seem tedious, but it actually was pretty easy, especially with these long scissors from Tim Holtz, because you can just go right down the edge. I'm not going to make you watch me cut them all out, but I did trim them. And then, like I said, some of them I did have to go back through and really kind of clean up the edges with a little bit of glue, which was fine. It just ordinarily, you just really want to make sure that you're getting that glue all over the entire surface. That's why I like to use a book off to the side where I can really like run the adhesive off of the edges. It just makes it a little bit easier to make sure that you're getting a really good coverage there. And I didn't want like the little lines and stuff that you would get if you were using like a liquid adhesive. So you can kind of see I trimmed those down, and now I went through off camera and just went through and pulled out some ephemera. A lot of this, most of it is Tim Holtz ephemera. And I'm just going to create some focal points on these journaling cards. So this one actually is one that tore a little bit, but some of the purple from the card is actually showing through behind it. And I really like that. So I'm just kind of leaning into that and adding some of these purple flowers. And a lot of times I just kind of went with whatever seemed to make sense in the moment. So here I'm gluing a little label up at the top, and then I can add to that as I go when I'm working this in a journal. You can see this was actually a Project Life card. You can tell because the corners are already rounded, and I wanted to create a little border down here at the bottom. These colors just worked out really well. So this is technically the writing side of this, but I'm just using it as the background for my focal image, and then I'll have the coffee dyed on the back, and I go through it and like distress all of the pieces with some archival ink and ground espresso. I'll go around all the edges of the cards. I may go back and round the corners of these cards. I haven't quite decided yet, but I did leave myself that option if I want to do that down the road. And then here you can just see I'm trimming off the excess, and I left it enough that if I wanted to add something, I still feel like I can. I have enough room, but if I don't want to, it feels finished to me as well. And I really love this lady reading her book. And then I found this strip. These are actually the Tim Holtz strips that he came out with not too long ago. And so I didn't know if I was going to get a lot of use for them, but for this kind of situation, they actually worked out really beautifully. A lot of them are like collage strips kind of cut down. And so, but this one just happened to be sheet music. And I just really love this image of this lady reading her book. And so I just put that sheet music kind of just to anchor it. I had considered just leaving her right front and center, but I really just wanted something to anchor her down. And then I had this big label. This is also a Tim Holtz piece, and then this coffee cup that's from another just ephemera set. And I just really liked the way that the two of these looked together, but that label was just kind of too big. So I hung it off the edge and then trimmed it down, and then I will ink the edge, and your eye just kind of fills in the rest of that. So it's okay. A lot of times things are actually more pleasing to the eye when they're hanging off the page, I think. And so this one, I really liked the little like fake tape up at the top. So I'm moving this label. I actually had glued it down, and then I thought I was going to put it down at the bottom, and then I decided to put it back at the top, but I needed to move it down because I didn't want it to be on the same like plane, if that makes sense, as the other ephemera piece. It just adds a little bit of interest when you have things at varying levels. And then I added one of the Tim Holtz tapes there. You can even make your own with some alcohol ink and some clear sticker paper. I just happened to purchase the little tape that he released a while back, and then another tag with just a very simple floral and a shipping tag. And then this one, again, I'm using one of those strips just to kind of anchor my pieces, and it just kind of helps everything feel connected and cohesive when you have the images and they're, your eye just kind of flows around the card better, if that makes sense. And so I left this one like this too, because I feel like if I want to create, add something still at the top left-hand corner, I can do that. But if I don't, I feel like it's complete as well. And so this one was a little bit trickier because I really loved the way that piece that's in the back just matched that card so well. It's kind of hard to tell on camera, but I didn't want it to get lost in the background either. So I did add another one of those strips just to kind of break the background up just a little bit. So these worked great for borders or for anchoring pieces or for edging. And then this was one of those journaling cards that I really actually liked the image that was on it. And so I went ahead and just kept that as the focal image and just added one of the Tim Holtz stamps up there in the right hand corner, and then I just added a little label as well just to give it a little extra something so it wasn't so flat. And then this one ended up being, I think, maybe one of my favorites out of all of them. I just liked the colors and how they went together. I have that collage strip there that I'm going to glue down. So I glued this down, not exactly center on this journaling card, but just kind of ever so slightly to the right, just so that when I added that collage strip, it was it still gave me some of the background card on the left side, if that makes sense. So it's not exactly perfectly centered, if that makes sense, but with this collage strip, it makes it make more sense to your eye, I guess. And then again, trim that down and just glued that down. And then this is the last one, and this is the writing side. This is of this journaling card. But I really love how this purple card looked on there with that background. So I'm going to kind of anchor this right between the top and the bottom lines of this card. And it ended up looking like it belongs there. It has a little bit of interest in the background. You can kind of see, I'll do some close-ups now. And then it just obviously has the coffee dyed on the back side, so there'll be plenty of writing space. And like I said, I may go back through and round those corners. Sometimes I just feel like that looks more finished doing it that way. But for right now, I just left the corners the way that they were on the cards that I journaled. So here's some other close-ups. If you liked this video, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until next time, bye.